All right, good afternoon, everybody. It is Jay again, and summer is here, and that is exactly what we're going to be talking about in this video today is summer heat and plants and why the plants really do like the heat. Now, I'm going to try to keep this video a little bit shorter for you guys because I have explained these concepts in other videos, but I'm going to try to be very, very clear and specific on this one because I think this pertains, a lot of this information pertains to people that live in hot climates everywhere. So this is going to be basically a temperature video, and to a certain degree this is going to apply to cold and cold weather plants also, or growing tropical plants in the cold, because this subject is also going to kind of pertain to that. So I'm going to be showing you a couple plants today. We're going to look around the yard a little bit, and a couple things I want you guys to really notice or focus on is the new growth on these plants, and realize that it is July and it is hot here, guys. 110, 116, 120 degrees, and in those hot desert, dry, arid areas, there's just certain things that you can do to kind of keep the plants alive. But we're going to be kind of focusing on heat today, and let's just get into the video. All right, so we're just going to start right here, and we'll basically probably continue to several plants that are here so that you guys can have examples of exactly what I'm talking about. But the basic premise here is that plants love heat, and actually the hotter it is, the better it is on them. Okay, so I know you think it's crazy because it gets really hot here, 120 degrees, and you see plants start melting, and you assume that it's the heat that is actually cooking that plant. Okay, and in some cases, like maybe bananas or some succulent plants, that is what's happening, is that plant is overheating because the majority of it is water, and so that water is starting to actually cook inside the plant on certain plants, right? But for other plants, let's call them tropical trees, and for the most part, all fruit trees this time of the year, citrus, everything should be actively growing. You should see rapid growth this time of year. This should not be the time of year that your plants are actually burning up. This should be the time of the year that your plants are growing feet per year. Okay, so what temperatures can plants take, or what temperatures can they handle, or what is the deal with that? Why is that? Okay, so plants need the heat to kind of keep them alive and keep them activated. What is going wrong here, or on most people's plants, is that they're not giving it the water that it needs to keep up with its transpiration rate. Okay, so the best way to sort of explain this is plants, sorry about the focus, guys, plants, they need the water and they need the heat. Let me get over here and I'm going to show you a couple more. Okay, so let's get over here to where some of these mangoes are. So going back to the transpiration and the sweating that plants do, so as long as you can keep the water up to them, your plants are going to be actively growing during this time period. Like I said, they should not be dying. Wow, look at these. Look at all the new growth on these mangoes. And the reason that these look so good, and the reason that everything is in such active growth, look at the chiku right next to it. Do you see all the new growth on these tropical trees? Well, you would expect them to be kind of burnt up this time of the year because of the heat factor. But I'm telling you guys, what it is it's more of a humidity factor. Okay, so if you can keep up with the rate that these plants sweat to keep themselves cool, then you're going to have all this massive active growth during the summertime. Your plants should not be dying. They should not be burning up. They should not be going through all these pictures you see where the plants are drooped over and the leaves are burnt and the stalks are burnt on them. And really what it boils down to is enough water to that plant. Now, it might not even be your fault. Like, let's say, for instance, you think you're watering a plant enough and that it should be looking good right now. Well, what if it's something else? What if it is the fact that the roots are either damaged or not big enough, or it's somehow been compromised? You've got maybe some root rot on the trees. But I mean, as you look around at every single one of these plants, Suriname cherries, basically all the mango trees, lychees, longans, all the really big mangoes in the back. I mean, these are definitely not being shaded anymore, but I'm also keeping up the humidity to them and keeping the water to the plant. Black sapote, ice cream bean. You'll see that all these have all this new growth, and it's right here in the worst time of the year when it is literally the hottest. White sapote. And it comes down to the water, guys. So there's two ways to keep your plants watered. Obviously in the summertime, and one is by actually watering them, right? So that the plant actually has enough water for its roots. And then you have to keep the mulch, or you want to have some mulch, why we always talk about mulching in hot areas. And what that's going to do is you're getting basically the land wet then, and then as that dries and cools during the day, that's going to give enough humidity to certain types of plants, right? It's really going to help those plants out. Because now, as this water evaporates during the hot day, it's evening now, but as it evaporates during the day from the mulch, which is being slowly released, that water is being slowly released to the tree from below, right? And now it's keeping that humidity in without it being direct water on the plant like I'm doing now. So you don't want to get the plants actually wet a lot. I mean, you can sometimes. I like to kind of wash them off every once in a while, but I don't typically get them wet like this. I try to keep the water down in these areas where there's a lot more of that mulch, which is going to stay wet. Whereas it's going to dry on the tree, I mean, almost immediately, especially during the day. So, I mean, you can cool plants down like this. Obviously, you're going to drop the area like quite a few degrees. But I don't typically do this. Like I said, I don't typically get the plants wet. I try to focus more on like the ground and the mulch and the areas around, okay? So, temperature-wise, you would think that everything would bake here or look terrible. Let's just keep going through here and get to some other plants back here as I talk, because you'll see that there's also a lot of rock around here. A lot of rock, bowling balls, rock, cement. You're going to see a lot of this here, and you're going to wonder why a lot of this would be here, because it's already hot enough. But it's really just a matter of keeping everything warm, or keeping the tropical trees especially warm during the winter time, okay? So this is planned out basically so that there's big trees above as the canopy trees, like this big mulberry, and in the summertime it has all of its leaves, okay? And so it's going to shade all that's down below here, right? All the brick and rock and everything else that's down here in the yard. Then in the wintertime, that's going to lose all of its leaves. So what happens is the sun comes back in here, it hits all this stuff that's down here, and it warms this up naturally during the day, and then it re-releases that back to the plants, especially a lot of these tropical plants, during the evenings. So see, it keeps them warm. So this is a completely planned system to where you get sun when you want it, and you don't get sun when you don't want it, and you keep things warm when you want them to, and you let them cool down when you want them to, okay? So that's why this system works so well together, okay? So it's water, guys, it's humidity, it's water, and that's why you're struggling with mango trees and avocado trees and a lot of these other tropical type plants, because these type of plants require a lot more of that humidity. They don't want to dry up during the day, okay? Guys, that's what we're trying to get to with this, basically with this whole video, is you don't want things to dry up. You want to keep the humidity in, and you want to keep things nice and humid, especially if you're wanting to do these tropical fruit trees. So the hotter the better, really, on them, right? 120 degrees is a cakewalk. For mango trees, they actually want that. They actually need that. They want that heat. That's how they're going to grow, and that's how they're going to fruit, okay? So it's not the heat that's getting you guys, and it's not the heat, okay? You want the heat. You want to pump up the heat, okay? That's why I have a greenhouse here, because it pumps up the heat when I want it to, and it keeps cool when I want it to. And then the biggest factor, I suppose, would be the swamp cooler. I've got this industrial-sized swamp cooler here that blows into the greenhouse and keeps that the humidity level that I want it to be, right? It can get pretty hot in there, guys, right? Greenhouse effect. Okay, so plants love that, the greenhouse effect, right? They would live through it. Like, we're the ones that wouldn't make it, okay? We don't like the greenhouse effect. But as far as plants go, you pump that up, right? Amazon rainforest, hot, muggy, right? So really, this is a good explanation for people that, like I said, are wanting to grow, especially tropical type fruit trees, is they need that humidity. And unless you have that, by creating that in your yard, right, you're not going to have that humidity level that you're wanting. And then you'll have your heating and cooling depending on what you want to use. This just so happens to be leftover concrete, okay? But it serves its purpose. It's nice and cooled during the summertime, and then it'll get all that light when the pecans lose their leaves, and then that'll warm up the mangoes and the guavas so that they can grow and produce. I mean, they're getting pretty big. Some of these mango trees are, man, I'm losing my focus here because of the light. Some of these are getting pretty big. I mean, that's a pecan tree and that's a mango. So a lot of these trees are just getting really big, right? So don't focus on the heat, guys. I need you to focus a little bit more on the humidity also. So kind of you 2 in 1. I want you to think about both, but the humidity is the most important thing here. Hot, dry, arid Southwest, okay? So we want everything to be nice and cool, which you will get your temperature down from your humidity also, guys. So if you're wanting to drop temperatures also, get your humidity in there. And yes, shade does have a factor, because it is going to keep your mulch wet so that you're not having to get out here and water every day, because nobody wants to, okay? So it's sort of a system of design, like where everything sort of works together and does what you want it to when you want it to. But you have to sort of plan that in, or kind of get that to work for you. But I'm telling you guys, if you will pump up the water and pump up the humidity on these plants, you'll start to see rapid growth, which is why we plant tropicals, or I do, in the summertime, in the middle of the summertime, in the heat, in this what we call the worst time of year to be planting a fruit tree, is when I start putting tropical trees in, because this is their time to shine. This is the time that they are going to grow the best, right? Given that you give them what? The humidity, right? The water. Okay, so it all boils down to water. And people are completely underwatering their trees right now, and they should not be, okay? You should not be. So keep the water up to these things, especially your tropicals. Think Florida, guys. Think Florida if that's what you're wanting, okay? So you're gonna have to put in the work and put in the water, unfortunately, but that's what's gonna work. It's not the temperatures, okay? It's not. It's only a small factor. All right. All right, so show you a few more things here and then we will wrap this up. Oh, you know I had to include brick walls and metal walls and hot spaces. What am I doing? What am I forgetting here? Because that's going to be a first of complaints, basically, is going to be, you know, the heat's killing things, hot brick wall, you know, hot metal fences, and things aren't going to work because they're going to absolutely cook in those situations, right? Actually, this one's really boxed in. So this is a mango, right? Way above my head there. Got some nice fruit forming here. It's hot. I mean, I'm holding this mango right now, and this mango's actually hot, right? So things ripen really well under those hot conditions as far as fruit goes. So these will be ripening really well because of that extra heat. Ooh, look at this guy. Oh, getting there. That one's getting there. So say it with me, guys, one more time. It is not the heat that is killing my plants. It is the fact that they are not getting enough water, whether it be I'm not watering it enough, or the roots are damaged or compromised, or the plant's too small, so maybe you need to give them a little help with some shade for the first year, right? But really, you can't really overwater here. Your ground has to be pretty poor, like pretty sorry and pretty compact for you to, ooh, look at those hanging over the neighbors. Oh man, look at those two. So yeah, even the neighbors, even the neighbors are getting mangoes now. All right, so guys, it's not the heat. Keep the water up to your plants is really the basic idea here in all desert areas, right? Phoenix, this Las Vegas, LA, parts of India, parts of the Sahara Desert, right? It's water, right? You add water and you got life again, right? That's it. You add water and you got the life. So it's the humidity, it's the water. Guys, your plants should be growing extremely fast this time of the year. Okay. All right, guys. So if you enjoyed this type of content and you wanted to see how these things survive under these adverse conditions that we have here in Phoenix, Arizona, it happens to be pretty hot here, and this applies to all desert regions. So if you like this kind of content and you want to start growing these type of plants, please subscribe and hit that like button. And of course, I have a nursery here in Phoenix, Arizona, so if you would ever like to start to grow your own fruit trees, well then I would say definitely stop by. Ooh, that's a pretty one. Oh, that's a really pretty one. That's a nice one too. It's like that blue-green shade. So if you would like to eventually, oh man. Ooh, that's a big one. If you guys would actually eventually like to get to this point where you're eating your own mangoes or your own tropical fruit trees or citrus or anything else, then please come on by and we will help get your yard designed and planted, and you can enjoy your own fruit. All right, guys, thank you for watching.